G'day YouTube, 49's Fine Silver here. G'day YouTube, it's 49's Fine Silver here again. We've been locked down by the beer bug over here in sunny Queensland in Australia. So I haven't got any gas to pour silver with. So what I thought I'd do is get some of you newbies and beginners to go through some technique that may help. So what I've done is I put my pewter pot back into use. I've just put it on a little tiny one of those stoves so I could go outside and show you all how I go about making things. So what I've got here is I made a little plaster cast out of this American flag rubber mold, and after I'd made it into plaster I poured it into pewter. Now what you can do, and what most people do, is they just push it straight into their mold take it out and then try and pour it. Now what happens, you get a lot of overrun. It's very annoying when you've got all of this excess pouring out all over the place because you're not confident in what you're doing. So there's another way of doing it. What you do is you put your piece in, get it looking as flat and nice as you can, and you can do this with anything. It doesn't have to be a metal casting, it can be a plaster one. Just be very careful with them because they're very brittle. Now there's my one that I made the first one out of, but I pushed on it too hard and broke it. So never mind, life goes on. So what I do from then on, because I don't like cutting off a lot of excess and what have you. I've done something wrong to start with. Let's step one step back. What we need to do is have some corn flour or talcum powder or something else that is going to create a surface on the top that the next layer of sand won't stick to. So we put our next lot of framework on, and all I've done while I'm putting this together is I've got this pot sitting on my stove, and it's not even on very high, it's just on very light, and I've put some pewter pieces in there just to melt them down, because pewter is the easiest thing to use when you first start. Now if you can master doing pewter, then you can move into doing silver. It's not much different. The heat and temperature is just a little bit higher, and the gas components are a little bit different, but virtually it's the same thing. If you can do it with pewter, you can do it with silver. Anyway, so I roll that up, make sure it's nice and firm and tight, and I like to flip it over because then I can roll this side as well just to be doubly sure. I don't think you can actually pack it too tightly. Okay, pull them apart. There we have our flag, and on this side we should have our base. Now on the base side I get my 4mm drill bit, and I just put it into a spot where I think it's going to be fairly easy to sand off, because that's the piece that we want to get rid of, is the sprue once it's poured. So once I get it to that level, I get my knife, I cut out around the hole that I've created with the drill bit to make a little funnel. Now once you've got your funnel, pack it down nice and gently but firmly to make that smooth. Once that's smooth, turn it back over, put your drill bit back through, just to make sure you've got a beautiful cleared hole there to pour into. Then we will put our molds back together. we'll get our, and then we just pour in our metal. Try and pour it nice and evenly, keep the flow going. Righto, once it's dry, which isn't far away now, with pewter, it's a fairly easy metal to work with, so just wait till you can see, you give it a couple of taps, you can see that there's a little bit of liquid still. As soon as you see the liquid though, you can just dig out a little bit, and that just makes it a little bit easier to clean up later. Take it apart. We've had a little bit of an overrun. The good part about it is if you get a little overrun, it's just where there's been a little bit of gap between the two moulds, which is generally very fine, which I think this is. I'll just make sure that that's set, which it has. And what I'll do is I'll just give it a blast off with the hose, and I'll be back in a second. All right. I'll just make sure that I'm running, yes. Okay, well there it is, a blast off with the hose, but you can see just the tiny thin bit that's on the top. So we can take that out really easily, and it's nice and clean and easy to save. All right. That can go back into the pot for later. Now this, I'll just give it a rub over with the steel brush. I'll just turn that around a little bit. There you go. And away we go. Alright, and there's our flag, and rather even all through. Now you can get your file out or your sandpaper and just smooth that off a little bit better, but a good job, nice and easy. You guys can do that for sure. Alright guys, if anyone gives it a shot, leave a comment or send me an email with your photos. I'd really appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next one. So that's it from me. So don't forget to like, comment and subscribe.